My name is Anna, and I'm 29 years old. And this is the story of the moment my heart finally broke, and the moment I finally learned how to love myself. From the outside, my life looked quiet and simple. I lived in a small apartment, worked a normal job, and tried to be a kind person. But inside my heart, there was a storm I didn't tell anyone about. It began the day I met him. I still remember that day like a soft movie scene. The sky was warm and golden, and the air felt light. When he smiled at me, something inside me opened. He spoke gently, listened carefully, and made me feel seen. I had been lonely for a long time, and his presence felt like home. I told myself maybe this is love. Maybe this is the person who will stay. And for a while, it felt true. We laughed. We shared stories. We walked together in quiet streets. I let my heart rest near his, believing I was finally safe. But even in the beginning, there was a small shadow following us. He was king, but distant. His love was quiet. His heart was careful. Sometimes he stepped forward. Sometimes he stepped back. And I told myself, it's okay. Real love takes time. I just have to wait. I believed patience was proof of love. So I waited. At first, it was simple things. He canceled plans because he was tired. He took longer to reply. He said he needed space. And each time I said, it's okay, even when it wasn't. I told myself that strong women stay. I told myself that good partners understand. I told myself that love means sacrifice. But as slowly, the waiting became my normal life. He grew busier, quieter, colder. And I grew softer, smaller, more careful. I would write messages and erase them, afraid of sounding too much. I would smile even when my chest felt heavy. I would say, it's fine, when my heart was screaming. I kept giving time, care, forgiveness, hoping that one day he would finally choose me the way I had already chosen him. But the truth is, I was choosing him more than I chose myself. And that is where the pain really began. There were nights when I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, asking myself silent questions. Why doesn't he love me the same way? What am I doing wrong? Why am I never enough? The room would be dark, but my thoughts were loud, and slowly my confidence began to fade. I stopped wearing the clothes I loved because he never noticed them. I stopped laughing loudly because I didn't want to bother him. I stopped dreaming big because I was afraid of losing him. I was becoming smaller every day. But from the outside, nobody knew. I smiled at work. I joked with friends. I posted happy photos online. And inside, my heart was slowly cracking. Loneliness is strange. It feels the worst when you are next to someone who cannot meet you halfway. I remember one evening when we sat together at a cafe. The lights were warm. The music was soft. People were talking and laughing around us. But there was silence between us. He looked at his phone. I looked at my cup. And in that moment, I realized something painful. I felt alone, even when I was with him. Still, I stayed. Still, I waited. Still, I hoped. I kept telling myself, if I love him enough, I will change. He will see me. He will choose me. But love does not work that way. One day, something inside me quietly broke. Not loud, not dramatic, just tired. We were talking gently, calmly, and it hit me like a soft wave. He didn't love me the way I loved him, and he wasn't going to. Not because he was evil, but because his heart was not ready, and I could not keep begging it to be. In that moment, I finally saw the truth. Love without respect is not love, and love without space for both hearts is only pain. My hands felt cold. My voice was calm. My heart was shaking inside my chest, but my words came out steady. I told him I was letting him go, not because I stopped loving him, but because I finally started loving myself. There was no fight, no shouting, no anger. Just a quiet goodbye between two people who could not walk the same road anymore. And when I walked away, something inside me changed forever. Was I heartbroken? Yes. Was I scared? Yes. But under the pain, there was also something new. Relief. It felt like taking off a heavy coat after wearing it for too long. It felt like breathing deeper than I had in months. It felt like waking up. The love I gave him was real. The memories were real. The lesson was real. But I could not lose myself to keep him. So I let him go. And in that quiet, painful, sacred moment, my story truly began. The end of section 1 leaves me standing alone. Heart hurting, eyes open, soul tired, but finally honest. It is not a loud ending. It is a still one, bitter and peaceful at the same time. Like closing a door slowly and hearing my own breathing again. A chapter ended and I didn't know it yet. But that goodbye would change both our lives forever. After I let him go, the world suddenly felt very quiet. Some mornings I woke up and forgot for 1 second that he wasn't in my life anymore. Then the truth would return like a slow wave, and I would feel the ache again inside my chest. It wasn't sharp. It was heavy, soft, constant. The early days were the hardest. I still checked my phone without thinking. I still waited for messages that would never come. I still turned around in public places, hoping to see his face. Every street, every song, every memory whispered his name. But even in that pain, something new was beginning. I started walking more. Not to go anywhere special, just to move, to breathe. I watched the trees, the sky, the people passing by. I listened to the sound of my own footsteps. For the first time in a long time, I was alone with myself. And slowly, quietly, I began to heal. I spent more time with friends I had pushed away before. I laughed again, real laughter. Not the polite kind I used to give him. I went to cafes alone and read books. I cooked simple meals. I cleaned my small apartment and opened the windows. Life began to feel lighter. There were still sad days. Of course, nights when I cried into my pillow and whispered, why wasn't I enough? But each chimi, the sadness stayed a little shorter. Each time, I stood up again a little stronger. And one day, I looked in the mirror and I saw myself. Not the girl who waited. Not the girl who begged for love. Not the girl who made herself small. Just Anna. And I remembered that she was worth something. I realized something important during that time. Love should not erase you. Love should help you become more you. So I stopped chasing love. I stopped chasing him. I stopped chasing the idea of maybe one day. Instead, I began choosing myself. I slept better. I smiled easier. I spoke more honestly. Slowly, my heart stitched itself back together. Not perfect. Not the same. But real and alive. And just when life began to feel steady again, he came back. It happened on an ordinary day. I was walking home from work, thinking about dinner, when my phone buzzed. His name appeared on the screen, the same name that once meant everything to me. For a moment, time stopped. My hands shook. My heart beat faster. Old feelings rose like ghosts. I didn't answer right away. I took a breath. Then I opened the message. He said he missed me. He said he finally understood. He said he was ready now. Later, we met in a quiet place. When I saw him, he looked different. Not in his face, but in his eyes. Softer, sadder, more awake. He told me he had been wrong. He told me he had taken me for granted. He told me he finally realized what my love meant. And for the first time, he was the one waiting. But standing there, listening to him, I understood something even deeper. I was no longer waiting. I cared for him. I always would. But the girl who once begged for love had grown. My heart was not desperate anymore. It was gentle, calm/whole. So instead of anger, I felt compassion. Instead of revenge, I felt peace because life had taught me something simple and true. Sometimes love arrives too late. He reached for my hand. He told me he wanted a new beginning. He said he was ready to choose me fully, finally, truly, and maybe once. Those words would have been everything I ever wanted, but now I heard my own voice inside me say, love should not cost your... I took a breath. My heart was steady, and with kindness, not bitterness, I told him the truth. I told him I forgave him. I told him I appreciated his honesty. I told him I was grateful for the memories, but I also told him that my path had changed, not because he was a bad person, not because I stopped caring, but because I had learned to care for myself first. There were tears in his eyes. There were tears in mine too, but the tears were gentle, like rain that washes the world clean. We stood there for a moment, two people who once shared a dream, finally letting it go. My goodbye was not angry. My goodbye was loving, because real love is not control. Real love is freedom. And so, with a soft smile, I wished him peace. I thanked him for the lessons, even the painful ones, and I walked away, not from him, but toward myself. As I left, the world didn't feel empty. It felt open. In the days after, I thought about everything that had happened, about how sometimes a person only understands your value when you finally stop waiting for them, about how walking away can be the most loving thing you do for both of you. He loved me when I walked away, but I stayed away because I finally loved myself. And here is what I know now. Self-love is not selfish. It is survival. It is truth. It is freedom. I didn't lose him. I found me. Today, when I think of our story, I don't feel anger. I don't feel hate. I feel gratitude. Because that chapter shaped me. It broke me, and then it built me again. And I am softer now, but I am stronger too. I know my worth. I know my heart. I know that real love does not ask you to disappear. True love begins inside. Sometimes letting go is the bravest kind of love. Sometimes two hearts meet only to teach each other lessons, not to stay forever. And sometimes the most beautiful ending is the one where you finally choose yourself. And that's okay, because I am still here. I am still growing. I am still loving. Only now I make sure that I include myself in that love. And that is my story.